how did you come to that realization na you thought na you think you're better than I? So you really did?
I realized that I have become very self-righteous and prideful. Kaya pala, the students hate me.
I texted you na you will always be the source of my rebellion. That was year 2015. I met a guy. I was really looking for acceptance. He confessed to me that he is HIV positive. I accepted the relationship.
You know what? Grabe. I was exhausted na parang, Lord, parang 9 years na. Nothing is happening.
Hi to all our viewers, and again, welcome sa page namin, Journey in His Love. Thank you for tuning in sa part 1 of this testimony, and this is the part 2. And this is where we're going to talk about how God intervened.
So, friend, how did God intervene in your life na when, the addiction started?
I think God intervened through people. And I'm not here to flatter you, but God used you actually to intervene. So God can intervene, rather.
But he did use other people to as well, right?
Yes, He did use other people too. And this we'll be sharing mamaya. So, how did our friendship
Really started, deepen?
Paano naging way yun for God to intervene?
For me, it's really started when I became intentional with my relationship with God. When I really talked with God, Lord, please use me because I don't have much talent, but I wanted to be used for His glory and honor. I told Him, just use me where you can, just put me where you can use me best, and I'll do it. I'm just willing to be used. And so then God impressed me to actually minister on you, to pray for you, to reach out to you. I made a vow to God to reach out to you, but I didn't know what that entails, right? The journey was long, and
So parang careful what you pray for, ganon?
you might get it. And somehow, during my spiritual growth as well, I have become intentional with my relationship with God, that I started to really dig into God's Word.
Is it the first time that you prayed for another person?
I prayed for other people before, but not that intentional.
What do you mean by intentional?
Na every time I pray, like in my morning devotion and evening devotional, I always include you na may specific talaga ako na prayer for you.
If you could remember, ano yung mga specific na mga prayers na pinipray mo for me?
First, generalize siya. Kasi it's like a relationship with God na parang hindi pa kami masyadong close. So, parang I started to be generic about it. And it actually changed, At as the time goes by, it changed. Before, I was praying, Lord, change Randy, change his inclination. But somehow, God revealed to me that you are self-righteous. You are judgmental. You are a Pharisee. You think you are better than him because you kind of rebelling.
So you really did?
Yeah. and so, when God...
I'm curious, how did you come to that realization na you thought na you think you're better than I?
Kasi, I grew up in a Christian home, and so, I know the 10 Commandments. In fact, I've memorized them word for word. And so, parang my checklist I'm this, like that. I don't do this. I don't go to discos. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I go to church.
So you're saying all this.
Tithes.
So you're saying all this time pala, you think you are better than other people.
Yes, like I felt like if they will be saved, I'll be saved. I don't do those things. I am not like Randy. He is having this struggle.
So for you before, Christianity is like
the don'ts.
The don'ts. As long as you don't do the don'ts,
okay
you
na
will
ako.
be saved. You're
yes.
okay.
That I'm ashamed to admit it now, but I'm really self-righteous then. Pero hindi, this is the problem of self-righteousness. You are not aware na self-righteous ka na pala. That you're not aware na you actually think better than the other person. It dawned on me when I started reading the book Desire of Ages. It's a beautiful book. The story of Jesus, or the life of Jesus when he was here on earth. And every time na parang, because I wanted to reach out to you, I don't know how. And I don't have any material on how to reach out to you.
So, parang experimental
Experimental
stage ka.
lahat. So, I started reading the Bible.
Experimental talaga. I remember, kinorner mo ako eh. You
That was wrong, right?
Yeah, that was really wrong. Kasi if you had not done it, perhaps I could have opened up sa'yo early on. But
you tried to
kinorner
hide.
mo ako eh.
Uh-oh.
And then, you confronted me na, are you gay? Are
Parang,
you like this, like that?
That was really wrong. And we will be,
in the future podcast,
we will discuss,
we will be discussing on paano talaga, how can we reach out.
So, kasi I was learning then eh. I don't have any material. So, I started reading the Desire of Ages. And it struck me when the story of Mary Magdalene and how God was very gentle with Mary. And yet, in many instances, God was rebuking the Pharisees, these supposed to be righteous people.
So you're like, saw yourself.
Not in the struggling people, but
Not with Mary, but with the Pharisees.
Yeah, with the Pharisees, with the leaders, because I thought I was better. And so, it's still vivid in my mind when I realized that. I cried, like really cried. So my prayer changed from, Lord, change Randy, to, Lord, save me. Lord, change me so that you can use me to reach out to Randy. I realized that I have become very self-righteous and prideful. Kaya pala, the students hate me. Kasi wala akong mercy eh. Because when you think you're better than others, you are not merciful. Kahit sa grades. I remembered, even my friend, yung close friend ko na yung brother niya, binagsak ko. Bagsak talaga siya. But I did not give any mercy eh. So, because I thought I'm better than them. That's the problem with self-righteousness.
That's what they deserve.
Self-righteousness and
Pero
pride.
grace is something we do not deserve, diba?
Yes. When I realized that, I realized I need God's grace as well. I'm also sinful.
So as you learn in your Christian walk, you also learn what really grace is.
Yes.
By realizing what you truly are in the eyes of God.
Na I'm actually self-righteous and prideful, and I realize na I need changing as well. If I have to reach out to Randy, I need to change. And when I realized that I was sinful as well, that's how I became more merciful and gracious to others. But it's a long road. It's a long process for me to actually acknowledge that to myself. And I just thank God that He is merciful, that He is patient with me. So in my walk with God, I realized that I also grew, and God taught me how to be patient with you. Because now I see that how God was been patient to me. So I became patient with you and merciful with your struggle, because now I realize that God also was
very patient
and merciful to me. That's the first lesson I've learned, to be merciful.
Were there
and gracious.
any changes as when your prayers changed?
Yes, you are responding better. You are responding better, and I'm learning also to just be there.
I mean, how as far as you can remember, paano yung changes the way I respond to your reaching out?
Because before, I get offended when I'm rejected. And you started to open to me, that, you are used to people going to you, talking to you because they need something. And so God impressed me, just be there. Na, you don't need anything. You just want to be there. I'm like, ano bang gagawin ko doon? So I
remember many times, Tita, I
always
ask you, what do you need? Why are you here? What do you need?
What are you doing here? What do you need?
I could not comprehend that. That for me is very strange. Kasi I'm used to people coming up to me and they just wanted to na wanted something sa akin.
Like,
If it's not academics, maybe it's a part sa church,
Church, oo.
or may magpapakanta ng kasal, or
oo.
magpapapiano, mga
You are
ganon.
used that people come to you because they need something from you.
Mm.
So God impressed me to just be there and be a friend no matter what. So I also learned na this is what spiritual friendship are. Just being there without judgment and being
And I
merciful.
remember you sharing me na sabi mo sa akin before na your friendship is 100 is to 0 ratio.
Yeah, I learned that I could not remember where, but I read that 100-0 principle. God impressed me that you give 100% without expecting anything. Like, Lord, this is right. This is so radical. Then I remembered, God's teaching is really radical. He gave Jesus up on the cross 100%. He sacrificed heaven to save us. That's how we should be. And it was a hard journey to go through. And I could not say it's 100-0 because there are times that I'm not. Especially when I don't have my personal devotional time, pag hindi ako intentional with my prayer time with God, when I don't spend much time with Him in prayer, I know I could be very judgmental. Right? Masisense mo yan, di ba? You usually
Yeah.
sense that.
And nagiging reason ng away. Many
We
times.
fight. Yes.
Many
oo.
times. So,
Ano pa?
ano pa?
sa friendship natin and how God intervened in your life. What happened?
Nalaman ko na you were praying for me. And I was curious. Curious ako.
May prayer journal ako, di ba?
Yeah, curious ako kung anong pinagpe-pray mo. And alam ko na you're writing a journal. And I know, lahat ng prayers mo nandun. Kaya, I sneak in and binasa ko yung kanyang prayer journal. And that's where I knew kung ano yung mga prayers mo sa akin. I really read it page by page. Although I could not remember now kung ano na mga content nun. But you can, I can remember you praying me na, because I was watching too much of pornography sa phone ko. You prayed for my phone. Nasira yung phone ko. And
Yung
then,
laptop mo.
laptop ko naman.
Nasira ng phone
Nasira na naman yung laptop ko.
Yung another phone na naman.
So, I was a witness na God is answering her prayers. But then, I was kind of pissed off kasi bakit mga gamit ko ang masisira? Bakit ako yung maaargabyado? Yung ganon. So, I felt
Hindi
like
ko naman sinisira yun. You actually...
I felt like your prayers are destroying my life. But when in fact, Jesus is just answering your prayers.
for that God would intervene.
Pero
in
iba
your
focus ko
life.
ang focus ng time na yun was myself. Na I felt like I've been oppressed because you were praying for me. And that's how I grew hatred towards you.
My subtle anger towards me. And I do not understand it before. I always told God, Lord, I only do what's good and right for Him. I have been treating Him well. But parang galit na galit siya sa akin. Why is Randy so angry with me? Many times.
So that's
But,
the hard part
yeah, it's
sa learning mo.
it was hard. Like, but why are you so angry with me? And many times I cried over to God. I'm just strong outside, but I actually learned to just tell God. Kasi sponsor, you may not understand it, why we have to still communicate even if we fight. Because sponsor ako sa
Group.
singing group nila.
Group
So,
namin.
I need to be mature.
So kahit
and
nag-aaway kami, we're still in the same room pag meron kaming appointments and all. So
because
I
we're
have
in
to
a
be there
music
kasi
ministry.
I'm the musical director. Siya naman yung advisor. So we both have to be there for the sake of the ministry.
Then, I do not understand why are you so angry with me. But somehow God is just reminding me to be patient. You know, you vowed to pray for Him, then prayed for. Then I prayed for you. And then, my prayer ako nagalit na galit ka.
Yeah, I think the hardest time na parang hindi ko talaga matanggap yung prayers mo.
Because I prayed I remember line ko sa prayer journal ko that God do extreme measure, whatever it takes to save Randy. Nabasa mo yun, and
I
you were
read
so
that,
angry.
and then that was the time when my father got stroke.
Then you wrote sa ano. Wala
Yeah.
pa na-stroke yung dad mo. You already wrote that after that journal.
Yeah, after that journal. And, then, kasi yung time na yun, I was not really active hindi na ako active sa group. I quit.
You quit the music
I
ministry.
quit the ministry, and then, we were staying in the same house. Parang, hindi naman kaming roommates lahat.
Because it has
maraming
rooms.
rooms kasi nung time na yun, I was already working, and some of my friends who's part of the group are already working.
Graduates na.
And then, yung house na yun, yung dun kami nagpa-practice.
We called it Revive House.
We called it Revived House kasi revived yung name ng group namin. And nung time na yun, I was not in the group na. So, nag-quit na ako. But nagpa-practice pa din sila dun sa sala. So,
You
parang
were
indifferent
exploring
na ako na I just pass by without, I'm just being indifferent.
And you make it sure somehow that I know you're making these scenes. Parang unknowingly, you wanted to piss me off na I do this, bahala ka na dyan, and I practice, every day pass by there. And what did you write dun sa journal ko?
I wrote there kasi nagalit ako sa word na extreme extreme measures.
Measure to save.
Extreme talaga. So, nagalit
Because
ako,
you were
and
so
then
unreachable then.
sinulot ko doon, so stop hoping for me.
God has a sense of humor, right? Because that prayer journal has verses at each
At the bottom.
page sa bottom. May may
Bible verse.
my Bible verse. And that Bible said
In Psalms.
in Psalms, and Lord, what do I hope for?
What do I hope for?
Hope for.
No, Lord, what do I look for?
Look for. My hope is in you. And then I write there, pagkakita ko dun sa, may entry na yung journal ko.
How did you feel the time na nabasa mo yung malaking sulat ko na so stop hoping for me? How did you feel?
I almost cried. Pero nabasa ko yung verse.
Agad mo nabasa?
Oo, nabasa ko yung verse doon. It gave me hope. And this, I wrote there, this is my hope. I realized that my hope should not be on Randy. My hope should be on the God who is saving Randy. It actually anchored me in my prayer. It actually helped me to pray for you. Kasi in that, God made me realize, you do not hope. You do not put your hope on people. You do not put your hope on Randy. You put your hope on me. It's like God telling me that. And so I realized, Lord, you are my hope. Whatever Randy is doing now, he is so unreachable, but my hope is in you. So I anchored my hope in someone that is unchanging, someone that is faithful. So whatever you do, I'm not that affected. Kasi I know God is still working in your life because my God that I know is faithful.
It actually made me more pissed off.
Yeah.
Na kahit anong rebelding gawin ko, parang hindi ka affected. Kahit anong intentional na ipakita ko sa iyo na I'm rebelling, pero hindi ka pa rin affected, sabi ko.
Mag-text ka sa akin nun eh.
I texted you sabi ko na you will always be the source of my rebellion.
Oo, yung what happened to your father na stroke
Yeah,
siya.
that's the time, 'di ba, na my father got stroke.
A week after I write that journal, na-stroke yung father.
Yeah, na-stroke yung father ko. Kaya I thought na, I really believed that time na it was an answer to your prayer. Kasi sabi mo
Hindi
doon,
ko naman nag-pray na ma-stroke yung father niya.
kasi sabi mo doon, extreme
Extreme
measures Kaya galit na galit ako. Kaya I texted you na you will always be the source of my rebellion.
I cried actually when I
Kasi nung time na yun, kinuha na ako ni Lord
from
that place where I was working. Binalik ako sa bahay namin to take care for my father.
Parang it's also in a way you hated it, but you need that time with your father.
Yeah,
because you
kasi
need healing with your father. Right?
I also need healing with my father. I need to accept.
Relationship sa father mo.
Yeah, I need to accept kasi the more I'm with my father while taking care sa father ko while he was sick, the more na
Ano
nakikita
na-realize
ko
mo?
yung self ko, and I really hate it. I don't know why, na sabi ko, I don't want to be like my father.
But
I
you are
see
turning to be.
myself turning to be just like my father, and that's
Mm.
how why I hated it so much. But God gave me time na
Mm.
before He died. So since na-stroke
You see
siya,
His type of love.
I understood na iba
Mm.
pala yung expression ng love niya. Hindi
Mm.
pala words of affirmation,
Mm.
hindi pala touch, but it
Mhm.
was actually acts of service.
Mhm.
God gave me chance na mas makilala yung father ko.
That was healing.
There are still many thoughts sa mind ko na sana mas nakilala ko pa yung father ko because there are struggles, alam ko, na hindi
Mm.
na-express ng father ko. What was his struggles, ano yung pinagdaanan niya, bakit ganun yung character niya, paano siya naging ganun. And I do wanted to understand him, but the Lord has given me enough na reason na to love my father before he died.
And yung when you actually rebelled na yun, when you get out of the ministry, you were actually living the gay lifestyle na, di ba?
That was year 2015. I met a guy,
Mhm.
and yung time na yun, ano na ako eh. I was really looking for acceptance.
Love.
My father already died that time.
Mm.
2014 namatay siya. This is 2015.
Mhm.
December, I met this guy, and then wala na akong pake kung anong
Anong sasabihin?
anong
You're willing to turn
I'm willing to just
to leave family,
to
friends.
go for it
Mhm.
for the happiness na I thought I could find.
Mhm.
So, nung nalaman ko, he confessed to me that he is HIV positive.
Mhm.
Wala akong care. I accepted the
You know what?
relationship.
Grabe yung when you actually told me na dun ka na you will transfer to a place, grabe kaba ko dun. And I intentionally really prayed to God, Lord, why? And then I told God, be with Randy. I know I have an impression na you are going to be all out there, in your gay lifestyle. And so I was telling God, Lord, do something because Randy is really unreachable.
And true enough, talagang it was a time na I really decided na I will turn my back on my faith,
Family,
sa family,
friends.
sa friends, sa ministry, to really just embrace the homosexual lifestyle.
And then, how God put timing talaga. Because at that time, I also was able to dream. Many times kasi, God gave me impressions or somehow in a dream, parang parable siya. Many times, that's why nagagalit ka rin, but why do I know what you're doing? Because somehow God is revealing it to me. It doesn't mean because I was righteous, because it does mean that God wanted me
You to
to
pray.
pray for you. Because makasalanan din ako. And so, one night, God actually gave me a dream. And it was so vivid that we are together in a journey. Now, we are together in a journey. And somehow, the impression was that journey is a ministry of us together.
Anong nangyayari dun sa dream mo?
Sa dream. We were on a journey and we are only having a small backpacks, both of us, and then a child is leading us. You go here, you go there, you rest there,
Then
you stop
continue.
here, then continue, and then there was a point where there's a dark part where we really have to stop, and God impressed to me when I woke up during my devotional time that this is the ministry I'm giving you. And I was saying, sure, in a Bisaya term, sure ka, Lord. Like, are you really sure, God, that this is ministry? Look at Randy, where Randy right now. So I texted you the dream, right? And what was your response?
Diba before that time, you're already exhausted
Yeah,
praying?
I was exhausted na parang, Lord, parang 9 years na. Nothing is happening. In fact, Randy is getting worse. And then God gave me this dream. And before that, He was also talking to me during my devotion about the story of Moses, that Moses actually gave himself for the Israelites, that
In exchange
in
na yung
exchange,
salvation niya.
niya for the Israelites. When
So the
Moses
Israelites
said,
could be saved.
blot me out from your book of life. Just be with your people. And then, also, when I prayed that, God led me to the book of Samuel. Lord, I'm really exhausted. What would you want me to do? And then, when during my devotional time, there's that book sa First Samuel, that God was actually telling Samuel that, why are you grieving for Saul? I have rejected him. I have already
Parang
another,
sabi dun sa verse na, let him be.
yeah,
Hayaan mo na.
hayaan mo na siya. I have chosen someone else. So when I read that, I cried, Lord, are you rejecting Randy now? I was surprised because I know God has wanted me to
Kasi
pray for
hindi
your
ganun
intervention.
si Lord sa'yo.
Oo. And then He let me remember the lesson that He
You have
taught
read
me
with
sa
Moses.
story ni Moses. So, it gave me more persistence to pray for you. The Lord,
So God actually prepared you to pray harder.
yes, I was really praying harder. The Lord, Randy is unreachable. But you're a God who is true to your promises, that you're a God who can do the miracles, that you do not lie, and you said in your word, I was claiming a lot of promises. You said in your word that you can do that which is impossible for man to do. And so, since you do not lie, you can do what is impossible for man to do. And you gave me this dream. And you told me that this dream is a ministry. Randy told me anong sinabi mo sa akin when I texted you about that dream.
Actually, nasa car ako nun eh. I
With
was
your
in the
ex,
car
right?
with my ex. We were actually talking about how I will get out of my ministry. And then,
Your family.
we will live in together. We will build a family. Mag-a-adapt kami. And we were planning this and that. And then, na-receive ko yung text mo. And then, it doesn't really make sense kasi, why would you text me that message na nagkaroon ka ng ganong dream at that moment while I was already planning na I'm turning my back. So, doesn't make sense. Kaya sabi ko sa iyo, interesting but I don't see myself in that dream.
But when you texted me that, I actually prayed more. That, God, you do not make mistake. You are true to your promise. You are true to your promises that He who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. And so I still kept praying, even then what you said to me now, you don't see anything in that. So, because that guy has HIV, you really need to be HIV tested, right? What happened with that relationship, man?
It ended. Month after that, it ended. And at that time, kasi nahuli niya ako na I was flirting with a guy, ex ko din, sa messenger. And then it so happened, I was using his cellphone, hindi ko na-log out yung messenger ko. And then he found that out. And
But he knew that you were sexually addicted, right?
It caused our breakup. Yeah, he knew that. I told him na parang I'm a sex addict, gano'n. And then he just told me na normal lang yan sa atin, yung ganito, because we are just sexual person, gano'n. Talagang kasi we are men na gano'n talaga yung sexual appetite natin. And then it became a cause of breakup. And at that time, nung time na nasa car niya ako, and I received your text, I actually had a thought at that time. And it's a cry for help. Now, while I was reading your text, in my mind, there's actually
small voice
small voice screaming for help na sabi, Lord, alam ko, napaka-unreachable ko nung time na...
You don't pray.
Nung time na yun, I don't pray, I don't read the Bible, there's no way that you can reach me. But if there's any way na you can save me from this dark pit, please save me. And then, a month after, we broke up. And then, nung time na nakipag-break siya sa akin, dahil doon, it dawned to me na hindi ko man maintindihan if it's God's way na ma-discover niya yung pagiging unfaithful ko. But I don't understand, but all I know is that the word says all things work together for good. And that's the time when I called you, sabi ko, babalik ako. I will go back in faith. If you find this content helpful in your life's journey, share, hit like, subscribe, and follow Journey in His Love on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Spotify.
And I saw how broken you are, how miserable your life is.
At the same time, I have fears.
Yeah.
My fear was that, paano pag nagmag-positive ako? So, yung mga verses about health restoration and all, asking the Lord na, Lord, wag lang sana ako magkaroon ng HIV. And I was praying really hard and claiming those verses every day. And yung greatest fear ko was that mawala lahat. That moment, my prayers were changed. I was actually praying to the Lord, Lord, whatever will be the result of the test, so be it. Then when I went back and saw the test result, it was